Do you want to check out IT Pro TV but aren't ready to commit? We're making a few episodes from our most popular courses free for you to try here on YouTube so you can see what they're all about. Enjoy this episode and head over to itpro.tv when you're ready to see the full course.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for more CISA Plus, and we're talking confidence levels. Well, Dan, help me get the terminology correct here.
Yeah, confidence levels. So hopefully there's a bit of embezzled definition in there, right? Confidence, how sure are we? And then levels, again, kind of going back, it's a little bit of redundancy for confidence level. Is it a high confidence, a low confidence, a medium confidence? It's just a way of speaking to how sure we are and giving a bit of more information along with that. Now, with that being said, we've got some standardized ways in which we can engage in that kind of conversation. But ultimately, when we start speaking about confidence levels, that's what we're trying to get at. When Wes and I have a conversation about threats, and we are doing some threat modeling, and we are the security personnel for XYZ company, how do we have that same conversation? How do I know that when Wes says that his confidence is high, that it means the same thing when I say my confidence is high, and we're not talking past each other? That's ultimately what we're trying to avoid, is that scenario where Wes is saying something and I'm interpreting it to mean something that he doesn't mean. That can be a real problem when you are actually engaged in this as an activity. So there's been a couple of ways in which we can do this with some standardized conversation so that that does not actually happen.
All right, now I know standardization. If you've seen any of the other shows, we are heavy when it comes to standardization. And one of the reasons I know that we like standardization is so that we have things like interoperability. Well, when you're in the middle of a situation, a crisis situation, you might want an interoperability in your communication. So where do we get started, Dan?
All right, a great place to start will be one of a fun term called the Admiralty Scale, or the Admiralty Code, as it sometimes is referred to as. It's a fun word to say. I like it because it's weird. And people go, what is that? Basically, it is a notational scale of confidence. And it gives you a couple of pieces of information, basically determines the reliability and the credibility, and kind of fleshes that out with using this 2-character notational scale. Jump into the computer, I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. So here is the FM2-22.3 Human Intelligence Collector Operations Field Manual from the Department of the Army. That's fun to do, right? I'm just going to do a little searchy poo, and if I can get my hands on the right part of the keyboard, I'm going to look for source and information reliability matrix, which should be good enough. Look for the second one. There we go. And now we can see there's this source reliability, okay? And this is basically what we're talking about. We've got this lovely little table here that starts to show you the first part about this, evaluating the source reliability. So if it is an A, we consider it to be reliable. Okay, so if we're using the Admiralty code or scale as our standard, and I say it is A, that means there is no doubt of authenticity, trustworthiness, or competency, has a history of complete reliability. So A is top of the heap. And I've got a definition that I can lean on to know, I know that means this is utterly reliable. I have no doubt in my mind that this is true. And then again, you got usually reliable, fairly reliable, not usually reliable, unreliable, and then F cannot be judged because no basis exists for evaluating the reliability of said source. So here we go. We've got A through F, and that covers the first part of the notation. Second part is going to be the information content, and this is going to be an evaluation of that information content. Is it confirmed? Is it probably true? Is it possibly true? Doubtfully true, improbable, and cannot be judged. And of course, this is scaled from 1 through 6. So we've got A through F and 1 through 6. Put them next to each other. I can have high confidence that this is probably true based off of these definitional terms. So this is the Admiralty Scale. Really cool stuff. Link to this in the learner resources for you good folks, so that you can go out there and find it. If you just want to see, here is the link. fast.org /IRP/DDODIR/Army/FM2-22-3.pdf. Good stuff, right? All right, so there's Admiralty. Peruse, enjoy at your leisure. If you are working in government, you're probably going to see this a bit more than you would if you were in a private business sector, but that doesn't mean you wouldn't. A lot of businesses will adopt stuff from governmental agencies because the heavy lifting's already been done. Why reinvent the wheel? We have it right here. Could be super helpful for us. But yeah, there you go.
All right. I know, Dan, a lot of times we're dealing with uncertainty, and we need to find some kind of common language like we're talking about here. Where do we go with that?
Great question, Wes. And as always, what we're trying to do is have that same common language. And a way we can do this, if we are not technically in a government space, but got to go back to the government. Usually, this is where I got this lovely resource for us. We're going to go back there because they do a lot of risk assessment. Right here, CIA is going to help us out with this. Don't worry, I know this URL looks long and illustrative, and it is. I'll put that in the learner resources for you as well. So I'm not speaking that one out. But what we're going to do is talk about estimative language. So if we're not using something like the Admiralty scale, estimative language is going to be a good help for us. Because what do I mean by that? So I'm going to do a little searching here. And right here, we've got some language that we use in our everyday vernacular. Things like possible, or almost certain, or probable. But the problem is if I say it's probable, what does Wes think by that? What does he think that means when I use that word? Again, we want to avoid talking past each other. We want to have the same conversation. So, well, what have they done? They've said, well, let's put some definitions on that so that when you are engaged in threat modeling or risk assessment or something to that effect, you're going to have that same conversation. So here we go. If it's possible, that means it can, or other words you might see that mean that, which is the highest level, that it's going to be, this is almost certain, right? Or we have almost certain next, probable, 50-50, which is chances about even, chances a little better or less than even, improbable, or unlikely, right? So probable is likely, almost certain is virtually certain that it's probably going to happen, even though we have probable in there, and then probably not, and almost certainly not. Just trying to give some definitions around that. And of course, there's more information in this document that leads to better clarity and understanding of each one of these words and along with their synonyms. But that's a task that we have to go through and make sure that we are aware of if this is the language that we are using. The ultimate idea here in this episode is that we are using some form of standardized language to get to that certainty when it comes to what we're talking about so that we don't do that talking past each other thing. Not a really long and lengthy episode, but it is an important conversation for us to have. And it took longer than 5 minutes to do, so I figured it was a good way to, let's just go ahead and talk about that so that as we move down the road, if we do reference this stuff, you're able to understand what it is we're talking about.
Well, when it comes to communication, I can tell you it's important that we're all on the same level and we're all on the same playing field, especially when it comes to threat intelligence. Now, we got more to come in the CISA Plus series, so you're going to have to stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.